Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Pulse Pod. This week we have Paul and Pat. That's a bit of alliteration for you. How are we, folks? Are we good?
Good and ready to
We
go.
fine.
Excellent. So, a quick point about last week's game. We don't want to dwell on this too much because, quite frankly, it feels like every episode these days we are discussing how terrible Pulls are and another defeat. Or a negative result, we should say as well, because there've been a lot of draws in there. So, a quick word on Aldershot before we begin our main topic today. I mean, what more can you say? We finally managed to score more than one goal in a game, and we've still managed to lose.
Who's going first?
Now, it's
Shall
completely
I
up to you,
start?
Pat. You've spoken.
Yeah,
You might as well go.
yeah. At the beginning of the match, I was thinking, right, we're going to do this. And I even said to the people I go with, this is where we score a couple of goals. We're going to win and we're going to win good. No, that didn't happen, did it? Uh, I think the first half, they seemed to take a little while to settle. But once they did, I thought, right, we're gonna do all right. Uh, and it just, I don't know what happened, but obviously it's football, isn't it? You can't rely on what you think is going to happen. You know, I'm just disappointed. I felt really sad as well.
It's
It's
another,
it's
it's another one. It's another one of them awkward games where obviously Aldershot are close to the bottom, like sort of bottom four, and and I know we shouldn't expect to go down there and beat these types of teams, but I mean, in fairness, when you look at league position and stuff like that, then we should be, and I just think obviously Saturday's performance was just it was woeful at times, and I mean the less said about it the better, but again, York on Saturday will. I guarantee you it'll be a much better performance because they know that they're going to perform. But it's just so annoying that they go to teams like Aldershot and stuff like that and do underperform to a certain extent. But yeah, it was atrocious to be fair.
yeah, weird as well for the admin for trying to give Medine that first goal when it quite clearly wasn't his goal as well. Because I think the reaction from everyone in the comments told you everything. It was quite clearly an own goal. To be fair to Medine, Manny
Yeah,
Desiree getting on the score sheet after a little while off the score sheet. I mean, he did score. Was it? Oh, 2-2. Was it Tamworth? I think he scored against Tamworth, didn't he? It was
Yeah, yeah.
he missed like three or
yeah.
four sitters and finally got back on and he scored another goal again. And then unfortunately a bit of schoolboy defending by all accounts. And it's again, as you said, Pat, it's just what happens in
Yeah.
football, isn't it?
It's the same old story though, isn't it? Like even going back years, pools they've always done it. I'm sorry to say, but like the last couple of minutes, 2-2, okay, isn't brilliant, but it's a point. And then in the 94th minute, they score. Just because I think that they turn off a little bit. I think the team thinks, right, we've done this, we're all right. Just and you shouldn't stop until the last whistle blows, and that's it.
If you can't win it, don't lose it, Paul.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've already mentioned York there, Paul. We've got Fylde as well before the next episode comes out. Both games, two teams at the opposite ends of the table. It's unfortunate we won't come up against Kevin Phillips because, as we know already, he's been released by Fylde. Can you see anything from those two games before we move on? I mean, York at home, it is home advantage, but it's York. They're a very, very good side. They're in the mix to go up. I do think Barnet will probably go up automatically now, but York could quite easily do the playoffs. And Fylde, we have a dreadful record at Fylde, so I'm quite unsure. Quite frankly,
I mean, to be honest with you, I expected at least 7 points from the three home games that we had.
so did I.
I think that was a fair. I think that would have been a fair points total. Um, do I think we get anything from York? I'd like to think we will, but I can't see it on recent performances. And again, go to Fylde, we'll go there and we'll have the optimism of going down there. They're in turmoil. They're in a bad way. I mean, they haven't appointed anybody yet, as far as I'm aware, but I just don't see where the results are going to come from with what we've been seeing the last few weeks. I really don't. We might nick it at Fylde, but it's another away game where you look at it and on paper, yeah, we should go down there and and come home with 3 points. But will we? Because at the minute, my own opinion at the minute is I just don't think we will.
It's always bitterly cold in Fylde as well. If either of you
Yeah,
have been to Fylde before, it's always absolutely freezing in that
yeah,
wind.
that swells round it,
Yeah,
takes your face off.
Absolutely. Anything from the two games, Pat?
yeah. Obviously, York. I'm not expecting a lot. I hope, like, we just don't embarrass ourselves. I hope we put up a good fight, and I hope the fans get behind the lads. Because I think that's a lot too. You know, when we're singing and when we clapping and stuff like that, and encouraging them, I think they play a little bit better. It's when we booing them, when they're getting down, they're going, you can see the body language. So as I'm expecting us to get beat, which is shocking to say, but as long as we don't get like whooped, I'm
Hammered.
okay.
Yeah, fair
Yeah,
enough.
I mean,
Any
just a quick one.
guys.
You look back at the like sort of the likes of the Gateshead game and obviously the York away game. As poor as we were, we still put 3 goals past them teams.
Yeah,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And arguably, I mean, Gateshead attacking are really, really good. I think
Mm.
York, the width that they use with the wingers, against them teams, obviously we have really struggled, but we've scored 6 goals. So to bring them to out, like to bring York up here, like we need to make it a fortress. I mean, I personally don't think you can ask the fans anymore. I think, in fairness, I think a lot of Pools fans and all the ones that do go to away games as well as home games, I think they are all there. And I don't think that can be questioned. And I think in Saturday's
Mm.
game, Hartlepool fans will bring an atmosphere. There is raucous,
Yeah,
I think so. I don't think anything else can be asked of the fans, but
yeah.
we've got to go back on the fact that we have put 6 goals past probably two of the best attacking teams in the league. So we need to like look at that and say, do you know what? Let's go on that. So again, like Pat said, I genuinely don't think we'll get anything from the game. But as long as we're not disgraced and embarrassed, then I think
Yeah,
you've got to take what you've got.
yeah. For Files, I think it's a dodgy one, isn't it? Like you say, we haven't got a very good reputation against Files away. And obviously Kevin Phillips is gone. And whoever's taken his place, there might be, when you get a new manager, it's like, our then lads. So
the
I
new
think he'll
manager
give us a
bounce?
good game. Yeah, but I'm open, we'll come. Well, I'm going, so I'll wrap up warm.
Yeah,
Um,
if
And
I
some
think
more
I might be going
afternoon.
as well. I'll
Yeah,
have to get the scarves and such out. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, you mentioned the fans there as well, Paul. With regards to York, it may well be given that they've sold their allocation, as I think we all expected them to, top of the league and only an hour down the road. I think it might be a case of the fans feeding off each other. Perhaps home
Yeah,
feeding off
yeah.
away, away feeding off home.
yeah,
It might just contribute to the atmosphere overall. And I mean, like you say, hopefully it just doesn't become one of those games where if they get a couple of early goals, the crowd will turn, their fans will get on our backs, and it's a
Mm.
very it could become a very toxic atmosphere. I hope it doesn't. I really hope it doesn't. And if we
So
do
do
put up a
I.
fight, yeah, if we do put up a fight and it's a good game, if it's a game perhaps where we struggle and we huff and puff, maybe it's a bit of refereeing incompetence as well, because that's almost guaranteed these days.
Oh, oh, yeah.
And hopefully,
Don't even
you know,
start me on that.
oh, exactly, yeah. But
Refereeing.
hopefully,
Oh God.
as long as we do put up a good performance, we can only hope for the best, can we? But enough about the current season because, like I said, we're tired of talking about how terrible we are. So we're dipping back into the past for the rest of the episode. It's gonna be not quite a combined 11 because, as we mentioned before we came on air, there is myself and Paul who realistically, we're going from 2000 onwards, and Pat, you have a bit more experience in terms of the 90s and the 80s. I think that's the polite way of saying it. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah. I'm a little bit
But
older than you. Yeah.
yeah, I wasn't going to say that way, but you do have
Yeah.
the experience of watching, say, for example, the 1991 season where we had the likes of Brian Honor and Rob McKinnon and those players who may well make a lot of people's all-time 11. So we'll go through it position by position. there may well be a way and up. May well be some agreement. It depends on, how we all think. As we've said, there'll be a lot of leaning towards the present from our perspective, myself and Paul's. Pat, you
Yeah,
may have some
yeah. Well, so
input from the
I
90s.
obviously I've got a few. Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
yep, so there may well be some agreement. So we'll see how it pans out. Anyone who listens, feel free to comment on the usual socials as to what you might think as well of both ours and for your own picks as well. So the obvious place to start is the goalkeeper. I think I'm gonna take a guess that both myself and Paul are probably going for Dimmy.
Yep, he's mine.
Yeah,
right.
I think out of certainly the post 2000s, I think Jim Provitt deserves a good mention as well because he started that sort of Neil Cooper era. He was instrumental in us getting up in 2003 as well. So he was there, but I think Dimmy, some of the things that Dimmy did, especially being at the height he was at as well, to get down as quickly as he did, certainly for penalties and things like that, he was a very good goalkeeper.
Not being number one as well when we first seen him. Obviously, we first time I seen him when he came on, he started in the cup competition. So for me, from what I do, what it is I did like sort of have a little bit of a way up because I thought at the time as well, Trevor Carson was a very very good goalkeeper for us, and I think he is worth a mention to a point.
That is a
Uh,
fair point, actually. Yeah, there
yeah,
was that sort of
Mm.
sequence of keepers, wasn't there? When we weren't too good in that period, when we came down from League One, came down from League Two, our keepers did tend to get us out of trouble quite a lot. You think of
yeah,
Scott Lorch as well; he was a very good
yeah.
keeper.
Look, a very very good servant it was, and obviously
Yeah,
solid check for who's now obviously played some games in the Premiership for Leicester. And we have had some good like goalkeepers now. We have been spoiled to a certain extent, but yeah, Dimmy is the standout one for me, especially going
yeah,
through seasons.
Yes, do you
yeah.
agree
Well,
with that?
I put Jim Provitt, but underneath I also put Jimmy as well. Obviously, Jim, he he was outstanding. He was really good. I mean, one of the ones I remember is when he played. We were in a cup match and we were playing Sheffield Wednesday,
That was at the start
and
of the 2003 or 4 season. Yes,
yeah, it was, and he it was penalty shootout, and he saved a penalty which got us through to the the next stage of the cup. So that
I think he was. I
and
think he was
things like
excellent all through that game. To be fair to Provo, he did.
yeah,
He was the hero in the
he
shootout, but he pulled off a lot of saves in that game to get us to
he
penalties.
did. He did. He was a good, he was a good shot stopper. Uh, but like you say about Dimmy, you can't fault him. I mean, he was a big unit. You know, he was tall, and like you said, how he got down, I don't know. He was quick. He was like a cat, wasn't he?
Some
But
saves you
yeah,
see
yeah,
to see a man of his size to put himself about, and I know obviously getting to your top corners is your bread and butter as a goalkeeper, but
yeah,
even some of the close stuff that like sort of come about for such a big lad to get down when there's a shot coming in from what 10 yards and it's going towards your bottom corner. He was just
yeah,
for me he was a cup brother Evan, and I had we did I did see Jim Prover play a lot of games, and again he is on the list.
yeah.
But yeah,
So yeah, obviously,
we've been
like
graced with good players.
Jim Provitt was in goal when Jimmy came, so he
Yeah,
actually took over his place, and then like I think it was the 2003 season again. It actually Jim Provitt got Player of the Season, which
He
is
did. He
unusual
got
for a
players
goalkeeper.
and supporters player of the season,
Player
2003,
of the Season,
2004.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
It's
and
funny, really,
that's really
because
unusual, isn't it?
yeah, it's funny that because he didn't start the season as number one because I think I've said that he was instrumental in the promotion. And I think I should apologise for that because
Yeah,
It was Anthony Williams, wasn't it, who started
yeah,
to get us up.
yeah,
And he started the first game. He threw Jim Provitt in Neil Cooper for the Sheffield Wednesday game, the cup game. And because he'd
yeah.
done
That
so
was his
well in
best
that, he
one.
took over the number one
Yeah.
and then started every league game for the rest of the season. So you are right there. He did take over that season and won the player of the season off the back of the performances he put in.
Mm, yeah.
So I mean, would you go with Jim Provitt or Dimmy?
I'm going to go with Jim, just because you know, I I enjoyed watching him play. I mean, Jimmy was entertaining, God,
Yeah.
but he was, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll
to be
go for
fair,
Jim.
this isn't a combined 11. We all have our own. So obviously we're not trying to figure out we can stick to our own if we convince each other,
Yeah,
that's absolutely fine. But we all have our own opinions. Paul, you sticking with Jimmy?
I'm going to stick with Jimmy. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
fair enough. So we move on to right back. Oh, by the way, formations, because obviously there are a lot of different formations played, etc.
yeah,
in the past,
yeah.
in the present. Paul, you went for a 4-3-3, didn't you?
Yeah, mine is a 4-3-3, but it literally is a 4-3-3, so I could get the players that I wanted in it.
Fair enough. Pat, do you have a particular
I know.
formation in mind?
No, mine's a 3-4-3. Sorry.
That's interesting. No, no, that's an interesting perspective. No, all right. Might
Because
call you
there
Ruben
were so
Amrin for the rest of the
many
video.
midfielders. You know what I mean? There were so many midfielders, and I've still left some good ones out. Yeah,
That's
it's
fair
really
enough.
difficult. Yeah,
So for your three, Pat, are they three centre backs or is there like full backs in there?
you know, this uh, centre back, uh, I've, and then a left back. So
Okay.
so, yeah.
Right. So what we'll do
So
then,
do
because
you
if we don't have the exact same formations, obviously
Yeah,
there's no point in going right back, centre back, left back if we don't have the right backs
yeah,
and left backs, etc. So
yeah.
if you want to, because Paul, you'll have a back four, yes?
Yeah,
Right. So if we go with the defence first.
yeah.
And just sort of read out the defense as we've got it. So we
Yeah.
started with you, Paul. So Pat, we'll start with you this time for the defense.
Right. So Keith Nobbs,
Okay.
uh, absolutely fantastic player. Uh, wasn't frightened of anybody. Wasn't. I can remember going and we played against Darlington, and he actually got his jaw broke. I remember that. Half his teeth knocked out as well, and we won.
Ouch.
Okay. But yeah, absolutely brilliant fella. Really, just he wasn't scared of being anywhere. He just put himself about, and he was a big, he was good on the headers and stuff like that. So yeah, he's in.
Very good. Next.
And then I've got Mickey Nelson.
Oh,
So your eras, I'm guessing.
Warrior.
You know,
yep.
yeah, 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 brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Again, not the headers and that. Another big unit, put himself about, wasn't frightened. I remember like going to Tranmere and places like that, and the atmospheres were mad, and just absolutely brilliant playing. He was just really good. Yeah. And
And
then
your last back three.
I've got Billy Eyre,
Yeah.
which is going back to the 70s.
Oh.
Uh, you know, just it was a different kind of football then. It wasn't pretty football. It was, spit and sawdust sort of thing.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, uh, but another phenomenal player. So that's the way I've gone for.
No, it's a fair back three. Paul, do you want to go for your back four?
Yeah, so I'm going Mickey Barron. Obviously, he was just one of them players where I remember being like stood in the town end, and he was the type of player that would be stood there and he would be standing on the toes of like obviously the strikers, just obviously being niggly and stuff like that. But he was one of them that he wasn't afraid of a tackle. He did get stuck in, so I went with
I
obviously
think to be
Barron.
fair, that Bristol City when he took one in the face, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Oh,
Unfortunately, and that I wouldn't
mm,
say that made us collapse because there were other factors. I mean, Bristol City were an excellent side as well, but
Yeah,
obviously him going off was a big turning point in that
yeah,
game.
we were
We looked
willing to die.
defensively sound before he went off. It's a massive shame. You're back too? Or you
So
centre back team?
I've gone obviously with Mickey Nelson again. And obviously looking back, I mean his first game against Peterborough scores that screamer from God knows how long, how far out, and we end up winning the game 4-3 when the nice fella of Barry Fry said that we weren't going to get anywhere. So that was a brilliant start.
What a strike that was.
Yeah, and I've gone with Westwood as well because obviously, again, my time of watching pools is obviously a lot shorter, and it just they are the two that stood out. They had such a good partnership.
Yeah.
Obviously, we all know what happened at Cardiff and all that type of stuff with
Yeah.
the penalty that probably wasn't a penalty and all that type of
And
stuff. But
definitely
yeah,
never ascending off in a million years.
yeah. And then
Definitely not.
Hugh,
Yeah.
Hugh Robertson for me, and I've picked Hugh Robertson because it was just the fact that like literally every time he had a shot, he either cracked the crossbar or broke the net, and it was he was just one of them players where he was rugged. He didn't look like a footballer at all, but he put himself about again. But I enjoyed watching him. Is the way that he could strike a ball was pretty unbelievable, to be fair.
Yeah, I think Hugh Robertson, the overriding memory of Hugh Robertson, certainly for me and possibly most people as well, is that goal against Luton
Oh yes, that one. Yeah, that's
on
the
the, on the night. Yeah, 4-3. It wasn't even the winner either, because a goal like that just feels like the winner, doesn't it?
it's one of
Like,
them goals that you want it to be the winning goal.
yeah, it made it 3-3.
Yeah,
And I think Adam Boyd scored a penalty to win the game, but that goal just feels like a winner, doesn't it? You
yeah,
watch it back and you think, what a goal to win the game, and then obviously Adam Boyd scores the penalty after, and you're like, oh, yeah,
yeah.
fair enough. I was tempted to cheat, to be fair. I was tempted to cheat and put Richie Humphries at left back because I think he did play quite a few games at left back, didn't he? But
Yeah, he
the
did.
majority of his time was spent as a midfielder, so I think it probably would have been a bit of a cheat if I tried that. I think my back four is very similar to yours, Paul, just because that was pretty much the glory days, wasn't it?
Yeah,
It was the time where we had that solid defense, we had the success to go with it as well. I mean, there's a couple of others that you could potentially mention. Could you potentially look at the likes of Peter Hartley, who's given a lot of service to the club? He was excellent in the early 2010s. Evan Horwood at left back as well. He was a solid presence for those years. Going back to the 90s, you've got the likes of Rob McKinnon potentially, Pat. You've got
Yeah. Yeah.
there are other options there as well. I mean, I know you didn't play with conventional fullbacks in your formation, Pat, so I think you might be let off
Mhm.
slightly there. But
Yeah. Yeah.
there were many that you could have
Yeah.
picked. It's a fair. I think.
See,
Oh, go on.
sorry, I know I'm interrupting,
That's all
but
right.
with the thing with you, the Hammer Robinson, as we used to call him,
The hammer, very
uh,
good.
the Hammer, yeah, he was called the Hammer. I remember
Absolutely.
that. Uh, he's actually in my midfield. He's in me, midfield because he did play left midfield, but he played left back as well.
Ah,
So
you've
I
cheated.
put him,
Right.
yes, I cheated a little bit, yeah, because I wanted but like you say, there was loads. I kept writing them out, and I was thinking, no, I'm changing that, and I'm going to put something else. I'm going to put somebody else in. But there was that many, to tell you the truth. It was hard. It was hard. We've
To
had
be
some
fair,
good
for
players
a
over
club
the
that
years.
hasn't seen a lot of success over the years, there are a lot of great players we could put in the squad,
Yeah, there is.
Yeah, yeah,
which is testament to how good they actually were at the time. To be fair, because as you say, well as I say, there's not been that much in the way of success, and the fact that they've stood out to an extent in
yeah,
these squads. We've had, I think, is it 5 promotions in total? We've had 1968, 1991, 2003, 2007, 2021. So yeah, it's 5 promotions. There's obviously a lot of crossover between 2003 and 2007, but there is still a lot of players that could potentially make this squad. So moving on to the midfield, we will go back to you, Paul, because you had the defence, Pat. So Paul, over
yeah,
to you. Midfield three, isn't it?
Yeah, so I've gone with midfield. Was obviously Rich Humphries was a given.
Yep.
Um, Mark Tinkler for me, again, and Luke Molyneux was a standout player. Obviously, when he signed for Sunderland and stuff. But yeah, obviously, I think if I'm being brutally honest, I think everyone would have Humphries in their squad because I think just the amount of stuff that he's done for the team. And again, obviously, going on now, I know a lot of people sort of hit and miss with Featherstone, but I did sort of have a bit of a weird think about Featherstone. But for me, yeah, Humphries, Tinkler, and Molyneux were my midfield trio.
Fair enough, Pat.
right. So obviously, because of you, Robinson, I put him in the midfield. I've put Tommy Miller.
All right.
Yeah,
Fair enough.
uh,
Agree with that.
90s, obviously,
Mhm.
late 90s, early, uh,
Noughties. Yep.
and Brian Horner,
Right on it.
he, obviously the 80s, 90s, Richie Humphries,
Yep.
obviously had to be in, totally had to be in. Uh, but it was, again, it was hard, it's like Ben Clark, could you have put him in? I've thought about him. Can you remember Matty Robson?
Matty Robson, yep, the chin.
Yeah, Matty.
Again,
He was a good, Gavin Houlihan. I loved him. Absolutely loved him.
Gavin Holohan's
You
one of the
know,
standards from that promotion season. Yeah, Mark Shelton as well from that season,
yeah,
potentially.
you know what about
yeah,
do you know Gavin Strachan from back in the day?
Gavin
yeah,
Strachan's another good one because
yeah,
his free kicks were excellent.
Yeah, there's plenty going on. And obviously, the Tommy Miller one was a good shout. To be fair, I don't disagree with anyone that you said. To be fair, but
Yeah,
yeah.
I think to
uh,
be fair, you've said three. I don't think we've had four. Who's the fourth?
So, yeah. So, you Robinson, Tommy Miller, Brian on, and
Yep.
Richie Humphreys. That there were
Right,
me
that's your four. Yep. No,
four.
you can't
Yeah,
really argue with any of those. I think
no,
it's see, there's an overlap, isn't there? Because there's a lot of wingers that you could potentially put in the midfield, but then like you don't know whether they're midfield or attack because they could go further forward.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a bit of a, for example, Andy Monkhouse
yes,
was a very good player, very, very
yeah,
good
really
player.
yeah.
good house.
There's also another one as well who's spent so long at the club that neither of you have mentioned yet. It's Anthony Sweeney.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he could go in.
I've
He
gone,
could, I think he'd be a very good contender for mine. I'll be honest, because I think
yeah,
his contributions, I think they were a little bit underlooked, and the only reason I say that is because of the likes of Richie Humphreys and Mark Tinkler, where everyone thinks of straight away, and not without reason. But I think
yeah,
Anthony Sweeney was very tidy in the length of service that he gave to the club in that midfield.
yeah,
I still
yeah.
remember that he got sent off against Milton Keynes Dons. I think it was 2004, 2005. It was
On the
that
line,
season, I
on it.
think.
I remember
Came
being
back
there.
and scored a hat-trick. Yeah, like,
Yeah, I remember
like
that game.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous against
I
Chesterfield.
remember that. Yeah.
I remember his goal at Watford in the FA Cup as well. He opened the scoring at Watford away
Yes.
in the FA Cup. That was a brilliant moment as well.
Superb. I mean, I think he deserves a mention. Certainly, he was an excellent player. I don't think he
Yeah.
does get the credit that he
Oh,
deserves for how good
definitely.
he was
Yeah.
as a player. I'm just having a little look around. There is another one as well, potentially who spent two spells at the club in Gary Liddle. So I know
Yeah,
he was
Yeah.
partly
I,
defender, but
I,
he moved
I,
into midfield as well, moved backwards, so he could go in either potentially.
yeah. I think he was one that I put like potentially in me back in
You'd be
if
tempted at
there was
defence
him and
rather than than the midfield.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's fair. 'Cause
Defense rather
obviously, he
than
did drop
midfield.
in, and to be fair, he played in that back three.
yeah.
Yeah.
That you've
And
got, you never know. He might
yeah,
suit your formation better than ours.
like Mickey Barron. Like,
Yeah, so
there was some
yeah, you're not a Mickey Barron's Christmas card list now.
oh, I know.
To
Never
be fair, I
mind.
think given your selections, I think he might forgive you.
It is really difficult though.
Oh,
But
absolutely. Let's say if it was easy, it wouldn't be worth doing really, because there wouldn't be much to talk about.
yeah,
It'd be a very simple, very simple team, and everyone would go home. Just to add on Luke Molyneux as well, Paul, because he's the only one so far in terms of the squads that we've selected that is from the recent era. I know we've
Yeah,
mentioned the likes of Holohan, Shelton, etc., but Molyneux's the one who's made it in. Where I mean, his left foot was virtually a wand, wasn't it? When he cut it
yeah.
aside and bent it into the far corner, it was an excellent.
I think for me, it was just he brought excitement into the team. There was when he first come in that and he got the ball at his feet. Everyone like sort of it was one of them moments where he got the ball at his feet, he'd start running, and then everyone would stand up because you would expect something to come from it. And it was the exciting stuff. And like, I mean, even the promotion season, when we went up, obviously down at Bristol and that, it just he got to the point where he did run himself into the ground. I mean, I remember like going to Bradford away, and like he got absolutely lifted every time that they got the chance to lift him off the ball. They done that to the point like where you watch some of these blogs and stuff, and you listen to the abuse that he's getting because he's on the floor. But it was them games where him absolutely getting kicked to bits created stuff for us. I mean, the game when we went and scored 3 down there, like he ran and ran and ran, and it was coming towards the end of his career at Poole, to be fair, because he wanted to go on and do different things. But for me, it was the excitement at the beginning then, but towards the end, it was just the fact that he was our kicking post, and although being kicked and this, that, and the other, he still created stuff when we needed him. For me, and that's why he got in my squad.
Yeah, there tends to be a player from a lot of the top sides in every division that seems to get targeted more than any other because the opposition know what they can do. They know that they can hurt them. And he was always that. He always seemed to have that
Mm.
attraction to defenders to come and get him. And it did open up space for everyone else. And it's a fair inclusion. I mean, he was a shining light in that sort of era of pools. Particularly when we went up to League Two and the everyone came back into the stadium and he got everyone off their feet. And you're all thinking of the song, aren't you, as well? Because it's in my head.
Yeah,
It's been in my
I'm
head ever
singing
since you
it in
mentioned his
the
name.
air. Yeah.
Yeah, he was an excellent player. I mean, the next discussion is going to be a very, very difficult one because there's a
Oh,
lot of attackers that could make this list.
oh
Definitely
God.
for you, Pat,
Yeah,
because you've got the 90s as well. You've got that season,
yeah,
the promotion
yeah.
season. So I cannot remember where. I think Pat's going to be first this time. So I think you have
Yeah,
the midfield, Paul. So yeah, off you go, Pat.
Right. So I put Joel Potter.
yep,
A- Absolutely magnificent. And I don't think Adam Boyd would have scored as many goals as he did if it wasn't for Joel Potter. I really believe that. I think Joel Potter was uh, the guiding force of them two together. Because I think, uh, he just ran and he ran and he created chances and the, he put the ball at Adam Boyd's feet. If he couldn't score, he would pass it on to Adam Boyd. So he's
Just out of interest,
definitely,
Paul, I'm
definitely,
guessing that Joe Porter's in yours as well.
yep, he is.
Yeah.
Yep, good.
I think that might be
yeah,
one that I think
Just,
we've all got Richie Humphries. I think we'll all have Joe Porter as well because
yeah,
yeah.
I mean, and I can say this from a point of he's been on the show, so we love Joe Porter. He's a
Oh,
lovely fella
yeah,
as well. But
he's a good egg. Yeah,
yeah, he was an excellent player as well. I mean, the memories that he had that last season where he had the disappointment of not being able to go back when he wanted to go back to Australia. He felt like his time had run its course in England, and he still performed
yeah,
to the level that he did, and he got
yeah.
all of the awards. He got the Player of the Year. He got everything. He got the
He
top.
did.
It's
Yeah.
his highest ever goal tally. Like he was ridiculous that season. In a season where
Mm,
unfortunately nothing really happened, we finished mid-table. It wasn't a sparkling season, but it solidified us in the league, and he was outstanding that season. And it's a
yeah,
shame
yeah.
really because the injuries that he had, he could have done so much more, and that wasn't his fault. Like in the season we went down from League One after we'd reached Cardiff, he was injured for a lot of that season. He could
Oh,
easily
yeah,
have
yeah,
made the difference that season. We went up the next season, but again, he wasn't able to take much part in it.
yeah.
He could have been one of the greatest players we've ever had. And in fairness, the fact he's in all of our 11s says he probably is. It's just a shame he could have been higher up on the goal tally. He could have, it's a shame, but he was excellent. And I do agree as
Yeah,
well about the point about Adam Boyd. I don't think as good as Adam Boyd was and he was sparkling on his day, he needed that foil alongside him.
yeah,
yeah,
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
absolutely. So, Pat, number two.
Uh, I've gone for Effion Williams, which is,
That's a fair shout.
he was a good, stalwart of the club. He worked hard. I I did go Gordon Watson, but then crossed him out and put Effion Williams
Right,
because it just, it's like I say, it's really hard to. You've got all these brilliant people. I mean,
The list could be endless.
James Brown, you know,
Mhm.
James Brown was when he wasn't injured, he just had he was really good. I love when Pools played away and I wasn't there. Jeff Stelling with
Mhm.
his little James Brown toy, when he
I
scored,
feel
put it on
good.
the thing. I feel good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
doing that. Yeah, so I think,
The list could
yeah,
be endless, to be fair.
It's a
if, if,
very long list of forwards. I mean,
if,
Effiong Williams was
if
another one as well, because Effiong Williams was there before Cardiff, before 2003, and
yeah,
he lasted over into those seasons. But he formed that trio where Boyd, Porter, and Williams were all sort of in and around that team, and they could pair
yeah,
off with any one of those players. and it was just an exceptional strike force, wasn't
He
it?
just, he
It
sort of
was.
went unnoticed, didn't he? Like when you look back and you think, oh, Boyd, you done this, and you got Porter that's done that. Like within that season, like he did go unnoticed. I mean, obviously his goal down at Darlington was absolutely brilliant, and
That
probably
is one of
Oh,
the greatest
one of the
goals I've
most
ever
yeah.
seen live.
celebrated goals. I mean, it's funny
Yeah.
when you look back at it, I don't think the ball at the back of the net until obviously it actually went in the goal. And again,
It was out. It didn't bounce and touch the ground. Like you took the
oh,
touch and it went straight in. It's one of the best. I mean, to be fair, I've always said as well, that second goal was ridiculous. His first goal was a brilliant goal as
yeah,
well.
it was.
But that never gets talked about because of how good his second goal was. Like, if
Yeah,
he just scored that first goal and not scored the second, we'd all be saying how good that first goal was, what a
yeah.
goal that was. But it's outstripped by the fact his second goal was genuinely ridiculous. If Messi had scored that goal, we'd still be seeing repeats of it now.
Oh, of course, we'll
Yeah. Yeah.
have.
Especially in the situation
Definitely.
it was, it being the local derby, the local rivalry that it was
Yeah.
outstanding. And then your
Yeah.
final player as well, Pat. So you've got Joe Porter, you've
Uh,
got Effie and Williams. Are you making it a trio of 2005?
no.
Okay,
Joe
that's all right.
Allen.
Who was that? Sorry,
Joe Allen.
Joe Allen.
Joe Allen. Yeah.
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 It's the one I was
Uh,
expecting you to say, to be fair.
well, it was toss up between the Joes. It was actually toss up between Joe Allen and Joe Gray, who's in our team now.
Really?
You know what I mean?
That's
Yeah.
interesting.
I know. I think he reminds me of a player who played for us before years ago, and I can't remember for the life of me think of his name. And it does me in. I was talking to one of the guys at work today, who's a Pools fan, and and he couldn't remember his name, and I'm trying, but he wasn't English. He was a little lad, and he ran, and he never stopped, and he got under players' feet, And I think that's a little bit like Joe Graham now. When he's on form, he's a nuisance,
There's not Jan
and all
Torno.
these big tall, all these big tall defenders, and he's running them ragged because he's like a little whippet,
Was it not
and he
Fabian
never,
Cantorno?
Jantorno.
Was it Fabian
uh,
Cantorno?
I know he went from Hartlepool to Bradford because then I can remember the next season going to Bradford and he was playing for Bradford, but I can't remember his name. It'll be, I don't know.
Was it around that era of Jantorno? Was that the era you're talking about?
What what years was
You're
that?
looking at sort of like early 2010s, I think.
No, it was before that. It
Before.
was before that.
Hmm.
Yeah. But never. It doesn't matter. But yeah.
Well, if
So
anyone's
Someone will
listening and
tell
actually
us.
knows who that is, you never know.
Yeah.
there might
Someone will comment.
remember. Yeah, somebody will come in and say, yeah, it was him, and I'll go, yeah, that's it.
Interesting that there's no Adam Boyd in your front three.
No, I mean, on his day, brilliant. I mean, obviously, everybody talks about Sheffield Wednesday, the 3 goals he got on that night when it was absolutely tanking
Okay.
down.
Yeah.
Absolute everything was wet, and I had a waterproof coat on. But I used to stand then. Now I'm a little bit older. I sit in the Cyril Knowles stand. But at the time, I used to stand with my son, Matthew. He was about, I think he was about 10 at the time when that game was on. We used to go all over together, all the away matches and what have you. And I can just remember being so wet, but I didn't mind because it was a fabulous night.
I was
You
literally
know,
sat behind that goal. Like when he took the touch on the edge of the box, I
yeah,
sat behind it in the millhouse. It was exquisite. That's the best way to
yeah,
describe it.
yeah,
Send two of them to the
absolutely
corner flag.
fantastic.
He certainly did.
Yeah,
It's outstanding. I've already said Effiong Williams' second against Darlington was one of the best I've ever seen live. That third goal was again for Adam
yeah,
Boyd against Wednesday. That was
yeah.
ridiculous.
It
Honestly.
was.
Talking about
And the
goals.
pitch
At,
was so wet, wasn't it? Sorry, the pitch was so wet.
Nathan Thomas against Grimsby.
Do you mean Morecambe? Oh no, Nathan Thomas. Was that the chip?
Yep, against Grimsby.
I
Aye.
was meant to go to that game, and I was at work. I was supposed to be at work, and they cancelled me late on, so I didn't have to go to work. But it was also too late for me to go. I was gutted. I watched it in the
Oh,
Travellers' Rest on near Breaton Lane. Well, I didn't watch the game, but I was watching Soccer Saturday while I was playing pool, etc. And when the third went in, it was one of those where because we hadn't seen the goal, we thought, hey, 3-0. And then you watch it back and you think, my God. Like,
Yeah,
how can you
brilliant.
the angles were ridiculous.
Yeah,
To be fair,
Yeah.
there's an underrated striker. I don't think he'll be in anyone's starting 11 in this, but Padraig Amund's was a good striker at the
yes,
time as
very
well.
good.
And like I say, he won't make this because we have a lot of strikers in front of him, unfortunately for him. But he was a very good striker, and even when we went down, he still didn't he didn't disgrace himself that season because he got quite a
No,
lot of goals that season. I think did he get like
yeah,
15, 16 goals?
I think it was. Yeah, he done pretty well to be fair.
Yeah, it's a shame, really. On the subject of goals, I mean Nathan Thomas, because I thought you meant Nathan Thomas against Morecambe because his performance that day was ridiculous.
Yeah,
And his
absolutely.
second goal that game, where he cut inside and bent it into the far corner, that was outrageous. I was behind the goal there. That was superb, that one.
Yeah,
But it's a shame, really, about all these players, and it's very difficult to fit them into. Well, we've all gone for a front three, haven't we? But Paul, you're up.
yeah. So my front three is Joel Porter, as obviously everybody else's is, probably the exact same reason which everyone's discussed. My second one is Adam Boyd because I think obviously that partnership that season was brilliant and it was great. It was great football to watch. And then I did put James Brown down because I think had he not like had so many injuries, I think he would have been the player that goes places for Pools. I think we would have potentially made a good bit of money on him at some point if it wasn't for injuries. But you know what? I don't think anyone's mentioned him yet neither. But for me, another one that probably Richie Barker.
I was going to
He
bring up Richie
Oh, yeah.
Barker because I've got him
he,
noted down. I
he
haven't
was
I
the
haven't put him in
one.
mind, but he was a very, very good striker.
He come in and he literally hit the ground running. Like I think he was just one of them players. But he was a bit like you, obviously, just didn't look like a footballer to be fair. But he knew where the goal was, and I mean, I remember going like Wickham away last, like when we actually secured promotion and that, and
Yeah.
like although he didn't have a full season with us in this first season because obviously we signed him obviously midway through because I think between the two clubs that he played for, including Pools, he ended up being top goal scorer. But yeah, I'm a little bit torn between them two now. Because again, James Brown went to watch him play football, and again, I'm just gutted that his career was just hindered by injuries. Because I think, like I say, if he'd had a good full season without any injuries, we wouldn't have kept him. Like, there's no illusion that he would have been going places, and we would have made a bit of money on him. To be fair, but yeah, I'm torn between James Brown and Richie Barker, just for the amount of goals he scored for us and the way that he just slotted straight into the team. So it wasn't a case of them where he had to come and he had to like sort of work his way in. He was in it and it was what we needed just to propel us to the next level. With the goals he scored. So yeah, I'm going to cheat because I've got a front three.
I thought you were
However,
going to make it a starting 12 there.
yeah, I'm going to say it's James Brown / Barker for me.
He's cheated.
Yeah, I've
Oh
cheated.
dear.
He has. He could be on the subs bench, can't he?
Yeah, to be fair, there may well be places for the bench. You know, you do. I mean, you get about 20 on the bench these days. You know, the way
These
football's
days,
going,
you do, yeah.
there'll be another starting 11 ready on the bench waiting to come on. I think it's nine. Well, I think it's seven
We
in the
probably
National League at
need
the minute,
them.
isn't it?
Yeah,
But
we probably
yeah,
need them, though.
well,
So
certainly. I
there
mean,
we
the
go.
top clubs certainly do. But I think it's it's difficult to put either of these two in because they weren't with us too long, and I think if they'd stayed longer, they may well have had a shout. I think Luke Armstrong's form in that season was excellent. I think if he'd have stayed longer, if he'd have spent like say 4 or 5 years and really got to grips, I think he'd have
Yeah,
been in with a shout because I think he was clinical in
Yeah,
that season. I think if he continued that
yeah,
partnership with the other player I'm about to mention, Reece Sorts, I think either of those two potentially, because that season they were ridiculous that
I
season.
think
yeah,
I think for me as well. I think it more resource for when he come back.
Yes, that's a good
You know,
point. Yeah.
I mean, before when he did his first spell, I mean, it wasn't great at times, but he was a good player. But I would definitely say that when obviously Chandler brought him back in, because I mean, don't get me wrong, there'll have been a lot of Pools fans out there that were questioning that and saying, you know what, is he the type of player that we need? And then when you look back on the season, you think, you know what, had we not had him, would we have gone up? Potentially not, because he was just
I'd be
he
very surprised if we'd have gone up
yeah
without him.
some of the goals that he scored at the times that he scored them got us out of the trouble now, like a few times. To be fair, I mean, there was a two goals he scored against was it Bromley at home?
Was that the eliminator or was that in the
Yeah,
league?
yeah, it was. It was the eliminator one because I mean at the time, Bulls were the only team to win every game and go up, weren't they, at that time? But yeah, I mean them two goals there, like really, the game was won within the first 20 minutes. To be fair, but yeah, no, I agree with that. I think definitely resource in the second spell would have been where the other place had he been there, like you say, longer.
I think Resource as well, his first spell, the only thing I can really remember of this first spell was his pretty much his final act, which was the game away at Tranmere where we got promoted. No, sorry, Tranmere were getting promoted. I think they finished second and then they went up via the playoffs. We were virtually mid-table. We hadn't really done much. But it was the one where we all dressed up as clowns, I think. Because I remember
Oh yeah.
going, yeah, you remember. And he scored the winner that game with the little flick. It was like a little flick. It was basically a preview of what he'd do in his second season with how clinically he was in front of goal. Because it was a very instinctive finish for a striker. And you can imagine there were about 700 clowns going mental behind the goal because he scored that winner. But that was the only thing I really remember of his first spell. And then, as you say, his second spell, it was a little bit of, oh, he's back. And that was pretty much what it was. Oh, he's back. Like, it wasn't excitement necessarily. It was just, he's back.
I don't think
And
anyone
then,
expected what we got.
no, he did that. He did what he did. And I think Challinor, to be fair, Dave Challinor had that effect on quite a few players
Yeah, he did.
in
Yeah,
that, certainly in that team.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there's another name where if circumstances have worked out a bit better, he might have been in this list as well, which is Luke James.
yeah,
I was going to
Because
mention Luke James because when you said Resource, I thought you were going to say Luke James then, but you
yeah,
didn't. You said Resource.
yeah,
Yeah,
Luke James
yeah.
is first when he first broke through, I should say, he was excellent. Some of the goals that he scored, it was getting to a point where he was scoring the goals even though we were banging trouble. And I think the season that we went down from League One to League Two, I think it was 2012, there was a lot of calls from people saying, like, don't play him. Don't play him because clubs will get a wind of how good he
yeah,
is, and we need him for
How
League
good
Two.
he is. Yeah.
And then obviously he moved, he came back later on, and I wouldn't say he was floundering, but he didn't really hit the same form until Chalner took over.
yeah,
And that was before he left again. But when Chalner took over, I remember there was a game away at Chesterfield where we won 5-1. And I threw up on the morning. I couldn't stop throwing up all day and I couldn't go. I was absolutely gutted. And then obviously we went and won 5-1. But in the game itself, he absolutely tortured their defence.
yeah,
Chalner turned him into like the non-league Messi. He was ridiculous that game. Did he score? I can't remember if he scored or not. But even if he didn't score, he was such a threat in that game. If he carried on that form, he could have done anything,
yeah.
which is a
No,
massive shame.
yeah. But again, it's one of them. When he left, like sort of, I think was under a bit of a cloud, wasn't it?
Yeah.
When he was going to like Peterborough, and I don't think anyone would have begrudged him a move to a club like that. But I just think the way that he went about it, there was a lot of talk about his dad, and that was involved in it and all that type of stuff. But yeah, I think had he sort of went about it a different way, it probably would have been welcomed a bit more than it did. But again, it's one of them. It's in the past. He came back and he done what he needed to do for us. To be fair, and again, another one of them players that probably again goes unnoticed. His effort that he put in and some of the stuff that he did do, and he's there's a lot of people look at the game and they think, oh yeah, it is what it is. But when you see what they do off the ball, like again, Joe Gray, like this season, before obviously his injury and that, he pulls defenders from pillar to post. You know what I mean? And
Mm.
Yeah.
a lot of that, a lot of that work does go unnoticed. And like people look at him and we're looking in the 70th minute and he's absolutely hanging and he's knackered and he looks knackered. But in fairness, he's just pulled three players at the back of the defenders all over the place to create space. And I think Luke James was a similar type of player. And again, I think with obviously Joe Gray, as much as I didn't think Kevin Phillips was up to the job, and I think he's more of a coach than he is a manager. I think Kevin Phillips' influence on Joe Gray was really good because it was when sort of Phillips took over that Joe Gray really kicked on. In fairness, and then obviously this season, before obviously he's been an absolute, he's been brilliant to be fair. But yeah, I think a lot of that stuff does go unnoticed.
I think to be fair to Joe Gray, it's a shame that he got injured when he did this season because I think he was carrying on his form from last season. He looked one of our better players, even despite all of the disruptions and the managerial change, etc., etc. And then unfortunately, he came down with the injury. And hopefully, his return, if he manages to get regular minutes again, which is no reason why he shouldn't, hopefully it'll kick on from there. Couple of names as well. I think it's fair to mention a couple more names just from the recent promotion seasons, 21, because I think it's fair to say that not many, if any of them, will make all-time 11s. I think a lot of fans will agree with that, and that's no disrespect to those players, but the standard of players that we had in 2004-5, the standard of players that we had in the
Mm.
early 90s, they'd be very difficult to get in. But you look at the likes of Tom Crawford, for example, very understated, underrated midfielder. He showed by leadership last Tuesday what he can do on the pitch. You mentioned Nicky Featherstone briefly as well. He is another one for his longevity, for the service he's given to the club. And I think, yeah, it's like I say, it's very difficult to put any of these in. Right backs, we've had a lot of good right backs. We mentioned earlier about how good we were with keepers, the right back position as well. If it wasn't for Mickey Barron being Mickey Barron, you could argue realistically the Jamie Sterry could potentially get
Yeah,
in. We had Peter Kioso, he was excellent. Macaulay
Yeah.
Southern
Oh,
Hales was
he was
excellent when he
brilliant.
was here.
Yeah.
And Dan Dodds before his ACL injury was showing excellent form as well. It just feels like right back has never been that much of a problem for us, which is,
yeah,
it's just a shame really that Mickey Barron's there from their perspective because he's captain fantastic. He was outstanding for us in that season. And the last thing to mention, I suppose, is a manager as well, which I didn't mention to you before
Oh
because,
no, you
quite
didn't.
frankly, I didn't think of that. But I think it is, to be fair, it's usually if you're going to name a starting 11, you usually need a manager to go with it as well. And I think a lot of people will say one of a few, like there's a handful of managers that everyone will think
Yeah,
of one there. I think you'll definitely think of Neil Cooper.
yeah,
You'll definitely
definitely.
think
Yeah,
potentially of Dave Challoner. You'll definitely
yeah,
think of Cyril Knowles and
yeah.
Alan Murray in
yeah,
that early 90s period. You'll
yeah,
probably think
yeah,
of Danny Wilson as well because he got promotion with us as well. He's an
yeah,
excellent guy,
yeah,
excellent manager. There are plenty of. I mean, Brian Clough was with us for
yeah,
2 years. If you're going back that far, go on,
yeah.
pick one. I don't mind who goes first.
I'll tell you what. I'll give you my three.
Go on then.
I'm gonna go with Neil Cooper. For me, is number one. Again, for what he done, it was brilliant. Dave Challoner is a very, very, very close number two, and obviously Danny Wilson. They were the three managers of sort of the time that I've been watching pools that they've stood out and they've done what they needed to done. And obviously, special mention goes to Chris Turner, because obviously he came in when we were in trouble, and obviously he turned that team around, and again he was great. So yeah, but they're the four standout ones for me.
Go on, Pat.
Yeah, yeah. Mine, I think are the same. I would go definitely Chris Turner. Uh, then I absolutely loved Neil Cooper. What an absolutely lovely guy he was. He was, he always took time to talk to people and stuff like that. Uh, yeah. Danny Wilson. I'm going to go with the same as you. uh, the same as Paul, because I think that, and Challoner, obviously, what a ride it was with him. It was not nice how it ended, but we've got over that now and we've moved on. And it just goes to show you what a good manager he is, doing what he's done with, Stockport County.
Definitely.
So yeah, I think, yeah, that's definitely. I concur with you, Paul.
I don't think, to be fair, certainly from my point of view, I'm a similar time frame to you, Paul. I mean, you know, Neil Cooper was the diamond standard, wasn't he? For certainly since the turn of the millennium, because I can't speak for the days of Cyril Knowles and Alan Murray and those managers, because what they achieved was outstanding, and there's no denying that. But certainly from the millennium onwards, you look at what Neil Cooper did with that squad, and it was a very good squad. Don't get me wrong; they proved that twice over. But to do what he did in the first season And then, despite how it ended in the second season, he still had them well within contention, and it was he was an excellent manager. He was an excellent man manager. You know, the players who played under him, say Joe Porter, couldn't speak highly enough of him. You've heard many others speak of him as well. Came back to the club, and it didn't turn out as well because the football cliche is to never go back, isn't it? It'll never be as good as the first time, which
Yeah,
usually pans out. It's very rare that it comes off for the better, particularly as a manager. It still won't dampen what he did the first time. I think Danny Wilson was outstanding as well, and Dave Challoner for what he did in that season, which obviously was hampered by the fact that there was no fans in there. There wasn't too much to feed off of, and we still
yeah,
managed to make the Vicar Fortress, and that a lot of that was down to his management and how good we were that season. And it's you can't deny him what he's done since, because at the end of the day, it's a job. He gets more money where he is. He went back pretty much to his house, didn't he, in Greater Manchester. He
yeah,
lived that way. He was going back home, and look at them now, top end of League
yeah,
One. You can't deny what he's done, and quite frankly, I'm surprised that there aren't more Championship clubs
Yeah.
really looking at him, because if you're looking at managers potentially who could do things like that, I know that Matt Bloomfield's just left Wickham, hasn't he, to go to Luton in the last sort of month or two. And that was a surprise to me because Wickham are going to go up more than likely. Or, well,
Mm.
they certainly were with him. I doubt it's going to change now because they're still a very good side. And Luton are in free fall. I was very
Potentially gonna go,
surprised.
isn't it?
Well, yeah, I mean, I was very surprised that he went, because at the end of the day, you can back yourself. I have no problem with people backing themselves, because if he backs himself to do the job there, all well and good to him. But it just felt a bit weird that you would leave Wickham, who were in the automatic promotion places, to go to a team who, quite frankly, look as though they're about to go down. On the other hand, you've got Challoner, who, to be fair, I'm not sure exactly where Stockport are. I'm assuming they're in and around the playoffs, if not just outside, potentially. I'll have a little check of that now while I'm rambling on. But realistically, if Stockport they're fourth at the minute, so they are in they're in the playoffs.
Yeah, they're up there, aren't they?
But potentially, he might have been a better fit simply because he's got the style of play. 'Cause Stockport plays some excellent football, and B, he's got that leadership about him, hasn't he? Because
Yeah.
he was the manager when he was here, that it was centered around him to our benefit as well.
And
yeah,
we were very, very, very fit. I think
Exactly.
probably the fittest team that we've had, if I'm being brutally
Probably, yeah,
fair.
probably since Neil Cooper.
Yeah.
yeah. Because I think Neil Cooper was. I can remember years ago it was a really bad winter and the pitch at Dereham was flooded. So they came to the Vic. I used to work in the cafe there, uh, and they came to Victoria Park to train, and they all came into the cafe for a cuppa. And some of the younger ones bought Mars bar. He went absolutely off it. What are you, what are you eating Mars bars for? Get out there, put it down, get out. And he was, but the way they were all really fit lads. Yeah. He was a funny man. I can remember referring to John Daly as Donkey Daly to him. Uh,
Oh, poor John Daly.
no, I mean he's a good lad, and and he scored that header when we were at Bournemouth. I went to Bournemouth, eight eight hours, 8 hours there, 8 hours back, and we we were drawn. They scored, John Daly header, equalised. Then they scored again in the second half, and I think it was Anthony Sweeney.
It was Sweeney, yeah.
Yeah, scored to equalise, and we either had to draw or win. And I can remember Mark Tinkler gave away a free kick just on the edge of their box in added on time, and I just thought, well, this is pools all over. You know what I mean? And I couldn't look at Bournemouth's free kick because I thought it's going to go in. It's going to go in. I closed my eyes. I was rocking, like I just heard all the how fans screaming, and it just sailed over the bar, just like, and that was it. We were in the playoffs, and what a time, to football. People, because I'm a woman, I talk to people about football and females, and they go, it's only a game. Yes, it's only a game. It is. There's, there's things going on in the world that, but football, if you're passionate about football, you go with your family and your friends it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I take all my grandchildren now. My kids won't come with me because I show them up, but my grandkids come with me now.
What have the grandkids done to
Brilliant,
deserve
brilliant.
Yeah.
I know, I know. It's shocking, isn't it? It's shocking. Yeah,
Well, I mean, it's interesting about the Bournemouth because if that had gone in, that free kick, we'd have lost out on goal
that
difference,
would we would have lost out on goal difference. It was
which
really, really bad.
which would have been a
I've never, and
horrendous
I
way.
said, yeah, and I said, that's it. I'm never going to football again. I'm never getting this nervous and chewed up about a football game, and I'm still here, going
Oh, we'd have
to,
all packed in after Cardiff if that was the case.
No,
yeah, yeah,
I mean, I was 7 when I
definitely.
went to Cardiff, and
Oh
that
gosh,
was
yeah,
awful. It was brilliant
yeah,
up until the point because I remember everyone congregating in. I don't know what the square in Cardiff's called. There was we were all in a certain
yeah.
pub, but
There
there
was
was,
a
like I
big,
say, there
yeah,
was
yeah,
thousands upon thousands upon thousands. I mean, you've seen where it's like when we go to, places and we take over, like Bristol, for example, when we went to that playoff
yeah,
run.
yeah.
Like,
Oh,
honestly, the sheer amount of Pools fans in
yeah.
that square in the stadium itself. And even though we were outnumbered by Wednesday, because obviously Sheffield, much bigger place, you
It's
can't think of that.
city,
But
isn't it?
it
It's
like I mean,
there.
15,000 out of probably about 80, 90,000 in Hartlepool at that
Yeah,
time
yeah,
in that time, yeah. So
yeah.
like you're looking at about a sixth of the town or something like that that travelled to
It
Cardiff.
was, yeah, it was absolutely fantastic day. You know, everybody enjoyed it, and it was hard. It was because obviously it was a sending off, and it was never a sending off. We've all heard the stories, and I've heard Ken Allcroft's like version of the story and stuff like that. Uh, places like that. I mean, Ashton Gate, going to Ashton Gate to watch, you know, them play in the playoff final. And like I said, I take my grandchildren, but they didn't get tickets. I got a ticket, but they didn't. And I phoned my grandson when it gone to extra time, and then it was going to penalties, and he was crying. He was actually crying because he thought we were going to lose.
I
You
think
know,
I don't think there was a single Pulse fan in that ground who thought we were going to win that. When the
no,
no,
goalkeeper
no,
scored,
yeah,
it just felt like one of those historic moments,
oh
didn't it?
yeah,
Because
it was,
like
everyone was
yeah,
going mental on the Torquay side, and we all just looked at each other and went, "How?" Like even for
how,
us,
yeah,
how's that happened?
yeah, yeah,
it's one of them. It's one of them games you probably never see. You're not going to witness again. But like
No.
me and my son actually got tickets for the game as well, so we went down together. But like all of my family come down, so my two daughters, my wife, and obviously a few others came down, and they were like, believe it or not, they were actually driving around Bristol looking for a pub that was going to show it, and they never ever found one. So they ended up going back to the hotel and listening to it in the hotel. And like even like they're not football fans.
No.
But when they heard obviously the James had saved the penalty, they were bouncing off
yeah,
them, you know what I mean? And that was like
yeah,
people that don't follow football,
Yeah.
and it's like
yeah, yeah,
one of
definitely,
them. It's
yeah,
them days are what brings everyone together, and it's one of them
together, yeah,
where I mean we went down the day before, so I we were in the square the night before. We were in the square before we went to the game, and then obviously in the square when we come back and we'd won, and obviously all the players turned up. And you know what? Like obviously you live for them. And to be quite honest with you, I would take 3 or 4 bad seasons for another one of them. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Absolutely.
I
yeah,
really, really would. So I can quite happily sit here and say, do you know what? We've had 2 poor seasons potentially in the National League. We might even have another one, but you know what? If we have another season like we did that one in the 4th or the 5th year, I'd take that because that was absolutely unbelievable. And it's a memory that'll never leave me, and it won't leave me son now. To be fair, but yeah, I'd definitely do that. It was brilliant.
Absolutely. And
Definitely.
I mean, it won't be at Wembley.
Well,
It's never at Wembley.
yeah. Remember
I
Paul
mean,
Yeah.
somewhere like that. It's never at the stadium. It should
no,
be.
it's never at Wembley. Like there'll be something going on at Wembley. Like there'll be a concert with Ed Sheeran or something like that, and they'll have to re-tear the thing, and it won't be us, and we'll have to go to like
St Mary's in
the joke I
Southampton.
made at the start of this podcast is Plymouth, and I'll always
Yeah,
he'll probably get moved to Plymouth.
yeah,
We'll
Yeah.
play, True or someone stupid like in that neck of the woods, and
yeah.
we'll have to travel all the
And
way down
it'll
there.
be,
But
yeah.
it's
Yeah.
it's one of those, isn't it? As you say, if you have the bad times as much as Pulls don't have that many good times. It doesn't have to make the good times sweeter when it comes around, though, doesn't it?
It certainly does.
It does.
Certainly
It
does.
definitely does.
Absolutely. And it's a lovely, positive way to end. Thank you very much to you, Paul, and to you, Pat, as well. And
No
I mean, we've
problem.
spent most of the time trying to talk about anything but the current season
Mhm.
because we're all tired of talking about the current season. But again, it's the hope, isn't it? Well, we can only
It's
hope. And hopefully I'm sat here recording the next one and we've beaten York, we've beaten Fylde, and hopefully everything will be rosy again. And I mean, I'm not
We'll
talking
all
about
be
the playoffs
happy.
again this season. I'm sick of that. But you
You
know,
know,
No, no.
I
we'll
think we
finish.
can all put that in a box and file it away.
We'll
But
certainly. You know what? We'll finish mid-season, mid-table,
yeah,
but we'll all be back again to do it next season.
we absolutely will. And hopefully it does. We do have one of those good seasons, as you put it, to offset the bad seasons we've had recently. Thank you very much there. See you both.
Thank you.
Okay, bye.